Thank you for listening to Episode 9 of No Holmes Barred. This is an independent passion project, so please remember to subscribe and leave us a positive review if you are so inclined. Antecedently on No Holmes Barred.
Not 20 years ago, Chicago was a burned heap of cinders and a haven for bovine arsonists. But atop this urban monument lies a true city of the world. If we are to achieve our capitalist dreams, we must...
Hello? When you construct 200 plaster buildings on only 600 acres of swamp and do it in a foot of snow, someone might lose an appendage or die. Nobody wants to work anymore.
If the workers are really so desperate, they should work for desperate wages. But nobody wants to work anymore.
Nobody wants to work anymore.
He's right, Alice. I am so sorry. It will already be difficult to look after even 4 children on my own.
Would it be easier to permit me to take Nellie with me?
You have to take Howard with you, too.
Deal.
That poor family thought they were half a world away from each other, but they were in the same city every time, just traveling with you separately.
You suppose I should be hanged as well? All I've ever done is grab myself by my own bootstraps and make something of myself, like a real American.
And now for our featured presentation.
Dearest Mother, I take pen in hand as an exercise in pure futility. Seeing as none of my other letters to you have garnered any response. I've been writing every day, giving my letters to Mr. Holmes to send to you, and I suspect that they aren't reaching their preferred destination. Therefore, if you're reading Mr. Holmes, please take to heart that I truly hope you're intentionally torturing us and getting ready to murder us. Because if this was an attempted get-rich scheme, then you are as incompetent as your giant mustache is unnecessary. The exceptional brainlessness you have demonstrated during the time we've spent traveling has drastically altered my faith in not only your aptitude, but the aptitude of men entirely. If, Mr. Holmes, you have no intention of letting us see our mother or father again, then I beg you to put an end to my entirely mundane existence. Whatever thrill you think there is to be had in traveling to Indianapolis with 3 children, I can assure you, is entirely misguided. You are a boring, completely mediocre man who needs to stop calling
me dear, child, or sweetheart, because it's about as natural as your bullshit health remedies. Mother, I love you. Please write back. Love always, Alice. Oh, Alice, Nellie, come here, my darlings.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
You know, I was just thinking. Indianapolis is rather dreary at this moment. What do you say about going international?
To where?
I adore that he's asking us as if we had a choice.
Next stop for our big trip is Toronto. We leave this afternoon. Now pack your things.
Sure, let me do that. There, I packed all of my thing. Let's roll.
Clothes are plural, my dear.
And one spare outfit is not, honey.
Where's Howard?
Yes. More importantly, where is our brother?
In due time, young ladies.
If you don't tell us right now, I'll scream and tell every person we encounter that you lost him.
Oh, that would not be a good idea, Alice. I assure you, I know exactly where your brother is. But if you were to carry out your horrible plan, you'd never find out.
Tell us.
I don't think he can, Nellie.
All right, fine. You understand Howard has been a rather bit of a bad boy lately.
No, we don't.
Why? Because he screams and cries? It's as if 8-year-olds who have never left home don't like to be forced to live in a strange hotel room every other night.
Well, if it's any consolation to you, Alice, Howard isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Where is he?
As you pointed out, he was clearly in need of assistance that the three of us were not able to provide for him. I've had him institutionalized until further notice.
You burning
No!
shame! Mother and father will never allow this! They are going to kill you!
Are they?
Yeah.
Well then, who do you think had to approve Howard's admittance into the hospital? Me? It could only be the parents.
You're lying. You obviously posed as our father.
Don't believe me? Go ahead and try admitting yourself into an insane asylum. It won't work, but you can try. Personally, I'd rather move forward and have a nice outing with you girls in Toronto. Now is everyone ready?
No, I'm not leaving without Howard.
If you want to be with him so much, why didn't you say so, Nellie? Are you really sure you want to be with him? I can take you there, but only if you're sure.
You mean in the...
Howard's fine there, but I sense it's not such a nice place for little girls. But luckily, Toronto is a nice place, so we should get going. Nellie, think of your parents. One of their children is in an institution. Would you really want to make it even harder on them to have to admit another child?
No, Mr. Holmes.
Capital. Off we go then. Regrettably, I wasn't being completely honest. Yes, Howard was a thorn in my side, nearly blowing our cover any time we were in public. He was always cold, or hungry, or screaming.
Yeah, well, when children have no food or proper clothing, they tend to get hungry and cold and screamy. Even Alice knew that, and she's 14.
Are you a parent, Detective Geyer?
None of your business.
Oh, come on. I'm telling you everything I know about my story. You can't chip in a little? Man to man?
You have no concept of leverage. It's no wonder your business scams didn't pan out, Holmes.
I know I'm in prison. You don't have to keep doing that.
In prison and facing the gallows. For murdering children.
For murdering Benjamin Pitezel.
Well, I'm glad that's settled.
It's not my fault that the courts didn't prosecute me for poisoning young Howard with chloroform, dismembering his little body, and then burning what I could and burying what I couldn't. You discovered his remains, after all. Might have had a case if the DA didn't give up on it.
You sadistic son of a bitch.
It's not sadistic to commend your detective work, is it? When I'm gone, the world will need to preserve its chivalry. So, instead of name-calling, maybe you should respond with "you're welcome" next time.
I'm coming in there!
Geyer, don't! You said we could get hot dogs for lunch, and it's getting late. I'm hungry.
Come with me, if you will. I could not help the fact that I was a murderer, no more than the poet can help the inspiration to song, nor the ambition of an intellectual man to be great. I was born with the evil one standing as my sponsor beside the bed where I was ushered into the world, and he has been with me ever since. No Holmes Barred.
Jackson Park.
Well, I suppose you got your wish then, Burnham, old boy.
I've been lucky enough to have heard that quite a bit in my day, Mr. Atwood, but never while standing on smoldering wreckage like this.
You aren't used to fires yet?
I could be used to getting kicked in the groin, but it would still hurt.
Wait till you try out the zipper they debuted at the fair.
What about it?
Nothing, just if you ever wear pants that contain one, watch what you're doing.
Noted.
I meant it as a serious question, though. At the last meeting, you said you don't care if the fair got burned to the ground. Now, manufacturers and liberal arts, the dome, the golden door, all of it ash.
I know. I saw the fair burn down the night it happened. But I don't think I'm sad about it.
Relieved, then? That the so-called neglected workers took matters into their own hands and burned down the remnants of our fair?
No, I wouldn't say relieved. Cathartic, perhaps. It's only fair that the elements get a say, with all the unnatural structures we've built, right? Still.
Well, Olmsted, on the bright side, if you had to do landscapes here ever again, at least there's no buildings in the way.
Ah, yes. What a blaze. Though I would like to point out that the odds of fire on ships decrease when they have no steam-powered engines.
Read the room.
Is that right, Olmsted? Tell me, where did you get that information? What study has shown support for your thesis?
Indeed. Studies have shown. Burnham, did I ever tell you about what the New York legislature attempted to enact while I was working on the fair?
I was not aware of any.
I wouldn't call it newsworthy, but to me it meant a great deal. I'd received word that the west end of Central Park, which, as you know, I designed, was going to be wiped off the map. Apparently, a few vocal aristocrats needed a site to race their carriages, and they greased the wheels of the appropriate congressmen to build a speedway. I was livid. I didn't just build them a garden. I built sanctuary! And they wanted to blow it up so a few wealthy hucksters and gamblers could take more of the city away from the people.
Did it pass?
It did. But luckily, my advocacy reversed the decision.
Is there a point to this story?
Calm down, my fellows. I was getting there.
What? Are you not used to being asked that question by now, Olmsted?
Honestly, Burnham, I'm glad. I'm glad I asserted my disgust with the city's plans. But I wouldn't do it again.
Oh? Why is that?
Because regardless of how you feel about change, whether it's good or bad, it's inevitable.
This is all extremely out of character for you.
There might be an upper-class speedway at Central Park one day, but I can't write letters from the grave. Although...
There it is.
No, you're right. You can't. Continue.
Right. And that's something I have to just accept. I admit there's a pit in my stomach about how all of my projects will one day be unrecognizable, but worse, severed entirely from their initial purpose. Obsolete. And now, you won't have to deal with that slow death, Burnham. Not for the White City, and neither will any of us.
Sounds like the blaze spared us all from getting Founder's Syndrome, then, yeah?
And Bigfoots, they hate fire.
Touché, Olmsted.
Yes, Olmsted's right.
I know I am. Bigfoots are no joke.
No. I mean, things really are changing. When they decided to put the fair in Chicago, they put it in a city not 5 years removed from the workers' uprising at Haymarket. And when police murder a slew of protesters and have the state sentence 4 more protesters to death, well then good luck getting enough labor to get anything done in the future.
But we did get it done, though.
We did, but you're well aware of the costs and benefits.
Indeed. You know, the newspapers aren't even mentioning the Haymarket uprising anymore. Not with this H.H. Holmes maniac.
Right? They aren't talking about us anymore either. Hardly anything since this H.H. Holmes fellow's been at large.
Bread and circuses. Thank God for that.
Moyamensing Prison.
Geyer, you can't angrily unlock a door with that many keys on your key ring, so just stop.
Oh, I got time.
It's almost time for lunch, so no, you don't. Just stop.
Yes, Geyer, stop. Unless you never want to hear how the story ends.
Fine. For the kids.
That's better. Also, if you're going to lunch, let me know how the chow is around here. I'm in the market for a last meal.
Hot dogs.
Gary. Continue.
Very well. When we crossed the border, Alice and Nellie were actually little angels. It only felt right for them to remain as such for all eternity.
No one asked what you did in Toronto. I want to know why. Your neighbor told us everything. We know you rented a house under a fake name. We know you borrowed a shovel from your neighbor, dug a grave in the basement, left Alice and Nellie naked and tortured in a trunk for hours, then gassed them both to death. No one cares about your depraved exploits. I want to know why. Tell us.
Certainly. Tell you what, exactly?
Why did you have to drag Carrie Pitezel with you from city to city for weeks on end? You were gonna kill them all anyway.
Why didn't you just use a hot dog grinder and get it over with?
Damn it, Gary, you aren't helping.
Well, if he happened to kill out of hunger because he had a partner who kept telling him to stop being hungry, then I already understand.
Tell us, now, why'd you do it?
Well, in the plainest of terms, I guess I was just enjoying myself.
That's it?
Thank you. That's all I needed to know. See you at the execution.
Extremely glad I skipped lunch for that.
Gary, it is the cruelest joke in the world that out of you and your 5 siblings, you're the only one who lived to see adulthood.
I did have 5 siblings. You do listen!
Really should have been you.
You know, for what it's worth, at least you didn't get called the devil this time.
Have you been listening from your cell this whole time?
Bits and pieces. I was in and out of sleep. And second of all, where the hell else would I be? This is prison. You know that. Although you're here because you murdered an entire family and built a monument for torture. I was merely protesting inhumane working conditions imposed by the rich. We are the same in the eyes of the law.
Aren't you being charged with cannibalism?
Eat the rich is just a figure of speech. Thought me speech rights would be protected at least.
My rights should be protected too, but it's not going to happen.
For what it's worth, I don't think you're a murderer.
Fascinating. Why not?
You killed your partner, Ben Pitezel, because there was a loophole in insurance policies that you could take advantage of. You killed that Julia lady and her little girl because you didn't want her to have your baby and get in the way of your World Fair plans. You killed Minnie Williams and her sister because they were due for an inheritance that you wanted for yourself.
Well, you've certainly read the papers, haven't you?
I'm a bloody newsboy. Me line of work lends itself to developing critical thinking skills in the area of media criticism specifically.
Well, even if you're the expert, you lost me when you said I'm not a murderer and then accused me of killing 5 people.
It's because murderer falls well short. You're ordinary. That's far more accurate.
Now that is a new one, I admit.
You didn't kill because of some incomprehensible evil. You're just ordinary. Stripping the flesh of your victims and having a long weekend with them? Now that's not ordinary. But your motives? Desires? Ordinary. Ordinary greed. You're a swindler. Just to no end. Except when you get hanged, I reckon.
You're wise beyond your years, young lad.
You'd know wisdom, wouldn't you? Seeing everyone you meet as either a pawn or a pest, is that wisdom? You think it's wise to underestimate people, Triple H?
I will insist you don't address me as...
Oh wait, that's right. You never even had pawns or pests, did you? Because to you, corpses are material. Dollars in ditches. Would that mean human beings are just pre-corpses? I reckon your investment will mature in time yet.
All financial success requires opportunism. It's not a crime to take advantage of that. If it was, you'd probably have to hang every robber baron in America.
Say that again, but slower.
Very well. Piss off.
What? I'm bothering you? Because if this conversation's the worst part of your week... The subtext here is that you're gonna die soon.
I am aware, so spare me the pitchforks and torches and nonsense. Being wealthy is not a moral failure just because you don't get to be.
That's not it, mate.
Then what?
Do you know why you're here?
Didn't you say you read the papers?
No. I mean, do you really know? It's because you tried to rip off insurance companies. Originally, they were like murder, mysterious disappearances at the castle, meh. But stealing from corporations, I never! The murders were useful, though, because it got the public to support sending you to the gallows.
Why kill the golden goose, I say?
Does it matter? Thing is, your insurance scams were never gonna bankrupt the corporations, but they still wanted your head, and they'll have it.
Are you getting to a point anytime soon?
Nah, it's just funny, innit? The rich overprotecting their wealth is what led to your being here, awaiting your death. And a second ago, you defended their greed, even though it's about to send you to hell, not them. I admire a man of his convictions, dumb as they may be.
Do you think people don't already know that there's blood on the hands of Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, Carnegie? Workers have died constructing their rigs and railways. But do you hear anyone calling them victims? No. They're heroes. Proud laborers reconstructing our great nation.
They're people.
You don't pay for people. You pay for skill and obedience.
Profound. I suppose their bosses still get to be people, though, yeah?
Dear boy, you aren't getting it. The bosses get to be the financial geniuses, pioneers of the free market, who proved that there is a price on human life as long as people permit them to exploit it. The American people will happily trash their own interests in exchange for trivial convenience and comfort. They'll kiss the hand that feeds them and ignore the hand that snatches everything else.
Comfort's not freedom. Convenience is not happiness. And it's all right to you if people die pursuing those.
Of course. Death is as common as it is inevitable. Nothing changes that, even if these evil rich men take matters into their own hands. Get over yourself, you little boy!
I think I get it now. Sweet J.D. McCombus toboggans. I think I get it.
Don't leave me in suspense.
You do understand. Those robber barons, fat cats, you know blood's on their hands, and you still lapped every bit of drop off their fingers like their pudgy little kitten. You're just a patsy. You're a patsy, and they're all free men. You even saw past the facade of the American dream, but even your reckless disregard for life didn't get you into the big boys club. And that upset you, didn't it? They were smart on you, more calculating, in control, or maybe just luckier. Does it really matter, huh? Struck a nerve, have I? If it's any consolation, you don't deserve to die in vain. We don't deserve it, rather.
Glad to know the worst is over, then.
The worst part hasn't happened yet.
Not to worry, I'll be dead soon enough.
Fuck your death.
Wouldn't recommend that, even after spitting first, believe me.
When you dangle from a noose, people will be relieved to see the light leave your eyes. Carrie Pitezel will be relieved, sure. But then what? You'll just be underground. And one day, all the talk will stop.
Right. I've heard this lecture before. No one will give a second thought about me.
I want them to think about you. The real you. Not the headlines like Murder Castle. The sensational ones that'll make them say, H.H. Holmes is pure evil, an anomaly. Because if your evil is just an anomaly, then they get to dismiss it as such. They'll puff their pipes and spout out heady questions like, why is there so much evil in the world? And then they'll dismiss it rather than actually fix what enables that evil. What enabled you? It's easier to ignore you, and that is the worst part. I've never dismembered anyone, so I must be a good person, said the billionaire, swirling his cognac in an empty skull. And it ends there.
Cognac does need to breathe.
Not more than a person.
That would depend on their ages.
I can't fault you for that one. I really can't.
Well, that makes one of you. Good lad, I must thank you for the illuminating conversation. It gives me a little closure knowing that, in addition to everything else, I'm leaving behind people like you with half-baked philosophies.
Cheers then, Doc. You parasite masquerading as a disease. The doctor who never treated or even met a human being in his life. Only material. Another American dream left to decay. May you choke slowly, and may the hairs in your arse turn to knives and stab you in the balls.
Moya Mensing Prison, May 7th, 1896.
I don't think the church will allow that.
I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying that maybe the church could use a rebrand. Everyone's in poverty and the news is full of more sin than ever before.
My son, your idea is stupid.
People have given up hope. Just let people address priests as father or daddy.
No.
Well, it's not your call, Pope Leo.
I'm not the Pope, but it actually would be his call.
Just shut up.
You are feisty, considering this is your first time.
First time for what? Yeah, what do you want?
My last rites?
In this economy?
Father McCabe.
I'll just say it, this feels weird. Like, I know we're doing the Lord's work here, but this guy sucks. He killed so many women and children, and that's just the ones we know about.
We must do our duty for his mortal soul. Everyone believes the Catholic Church is an institution with an unimpeachable moral compass, and we have a duty to uphold that.
Yes, this is true. We are indeed rad. Okay, Holmes, what do you want?
Could we start with breakfast?
Breakfast in this economy?
Stop that. It's getting really old.
Eggs, bacon, maybe toast?
Sure thing, Your Excellency. Would you like that on a plate as well?
I would.
You know, fun fact, Jesus didn't have plates at his Last Supper. They actually mashed the host into a paste, mixed it with wine, and then drank it out of a communal trough.
That doesn't sound accurate.
Oh, so that's the line for you then, Father.
What are you even doing right now?
Evidently, being a waitress. And besides, when Holmes' soul is confronted at the gates, the less he gets right about the Bible, the better the chances he'll be sent to hell.
I thought it was your job to save my soul.
Asking for quite a lot today, aren't we? First breakfast, and then soul saving. Why even eat? It's not like your body is gonna need the energy.
He has a point, Mr. Holmes. Maybe you should be asking about things that matter. Do you have a will? A written confession?
No, fathers.
Daddies?
No.
However, once my body expires, I request that no autopsy shall be made. I imagine there will be many witnesses to my death either way, so we won't need to waste resources by telling people that I died from hanging.
H.H. Holmes, ever the altruist. Write that down, McCabe.
Make me.
Secondly, when I am buried, I wish for my casket to be encased in concrete.
What on earth for?
Well, I understand that grave robbing is kind of the norm nowadays, and I don't want anyone defiling my resting place.
That makes sense. I hear there are some sickos out there who will strip corpses of flesh, romp around in the viscera for a long weekend, then hire articulators to put the skeleton back together and sell it to science. We wouldn't want that to happen to you. No, sir.
Yes, and I certainly would love to be lectured by a Catholic priest about hypocrisy.
Gentlemen, perhaps you wouldn't mind if we took a life insurance policy out on you first? It's in your best interest after all.
Father Bailey, Father McCabe, it's time.
All right. Let's go. I can't believe they got a live band to play the Death March today.
The city's not even a year removed from hosting the World Columbian Exposition, but you're impressed by a band?
I can be impressed by both things.
So, how's this work? Is there going to be an opening convict that we hang to warm up the crowd?
For the third time, yes. It had already happened.
Ah, gotcha.
My brothers and sisters, we are gathered here not as barbarians, but as a community, here to promote a criminal man's reconciliation with God. Am I right?
Yes.
Now, we are not gathered to bastardize the sacred parting of the soul from the body. We will permit this sentenced man to speak his last words. But first, this execution has been brought to you by the Columbia Cookbook, a modern guide to helping modern young housewives create a peaceful, optimistic, and sanitary household. We will hear an excerpt from their book's author, Adelaide Hollingsworth. Mrs. Hollingsworth?
Does your spouse suffer from unseemly foot odor? Use my remedy to treat such afflictions. Simply add 1 part hydrochloric acid to 10 parts of water. Rub the feet every night before retiring to bed. This formula may corrode clothing, various metals, and your loved one's feet down to a bloody pulp, but the foot odor will be long gone. Thank you!
All right, Holmes. Do you have any last words for the people?
I do.
You gonna say him?
I certainly can do as requested.
You keep speaking at this pace, I'll pull the lever right the fuck now.
All right, fine. I have very few words to say. In fact, I would make no statement at this time, except that by not speaking, I may be made to look as if I'm permitting my execution. I only want to say that the extent of my wrongdoings in the taking of human life consisted in the death of just 2 women. I am not guilty of taking the lives of any of the Pitezel family. Not the 3 children, nor the father, Benjamin Pitezel, whose death I am now convicted, and for which I am today to be hanged. That is all.
You're kind of tempted fate, Holmes. Are you sure you don't want to confess?
Tempting fate? There is a noose around my neck. Fate's already been tempted. Come on, Richardson. You don't have to rush, but don't bungle it now.
Are you ready?
Yes. Goodbye.
Hold on, this thing was working fine for the opening act.
Would you just...
Does it usually take this long?
No. Stubborn little prick.
5 minutes later.
Whew. I'm glad that's over. Oh, come on!
17 minutes later.
Make way! Let me through! Let me through! I am the coroner! He isn't breathing. He no longer has a pulse. His neck is twisted about 390 degrees.
So, is he dead?
I gotta say, Father, for people who insist on telling us what happens after we die, you all suck at knowing death when you see it.
So, is he
Yes,
dead?
He's dead.
All right, untie him.
I'm trying to. I've been trying to.
You know, for a profession that claims to require practiced hands, you sure suck at untying knots, Doctor.
I got a knot that you're welcome to kiss, Father McDipshit.
Oh, just cut him down. There are more people in the crowd with knives than without.
I'm a doctor, not a knife smith.
I believe I may have an everyday remedy for this. A simple mixture of ammonia and bleach in a poorly ventilated area will dissolve this rope in no time.
Oh, just cut him down and put the condemned man into the casket already.
Oh, God, he soiled himself.
Don't take the Lord's name in vain.
I didn't. If he were here, he'd do the same.
God's omnipotent. Of course he's here. Also, no, he wouldn't.
Well, we can't just bury him in soiled clothes, can we?
Just take his pants off then.
Tragic.
I'm gonna be sick.
Oh, so that's the line.
Yes, that's the line. It is. Come on, pour the concrete already. Where's the concrete?
Jackson Park.
So, you think it's really true that H.H. Holmes brought a dead human foot to a classroom of school children?
Oh dear, I hope not. That'd be way grosser than an alive human's foot.
That can't be true, right?
I read that his nickname in medical school was Smegma, because of the way he smelled.
Wretched. Libelous, even.
Oh, so that's the line then.
Yes, think about it. 1. Who is the guy who decides, I'm going to call you Smegma because you smell like that? When all Holmes has to say is, why are you so familiar with the topic?
Well, they are doctors.
And 2, how would they even smell it in the lab? Which classmate is saying, hey, something really smells off about this room of dead bodies? And from there, they not only determine the source of the odor, but further conclude it's Holmes's specific brand? I don't think so.
This is it. This is the hard-hitting reporting we need. No World Fair fallout, no workers' rights drivel. That helps no one.
In a weird way, I'm going to miss all of this.
All of Smeg?
Do not.
Fine.
Planning the fair, ratbags. Things may be different now, but I must say, it doesn't look it, does it? Doesn't really feel like it either. This was the site. This was supposed to inspire innovation and creativity, show the world what modern urban America could be.
Destroyed?
Evidently. I miss the promise of the fair more than the fair itself. It really hasn't been all that long either, has it? Since we all stood out here, gazing at a vacant, sludgy park, wondering how we were going to pull this off.
It feels like it was just yesterday.
And for good reason. It was yesterday.
Swing and a miss, Olmsted.
Oh, I'm wrong? Do you happen to have a calendar on you?
Please, no.
Our calendars were all destroyed in the fires.
How convenient. No, wait, that's tragic. We'll never know what day it is, ever again.
Not this again.
Oh no, Olmsted! Whatever will you do about it?
It will be okay. Hold on. Let me think. I said hold on!
What?
Okay.
Okay. I got it. Today is January 1 now, and any previously agreed upon deadline for anything is now null and void.
Brilliant. Burnham?
Would that include deadlines for paying any restitution from the fair? If so, I'm in.
I'd wager it'd have to apply to restitution. Olmsted?
Yes, restitution. I'm afraid even the world's oldest profession isn't safe from this fiasco. And if it's not safe from this, then can it ever be again?
Shall we alert the newspapers?
Maybe, but wait until the H.H. Holmes coverage dies down.
Yes, I agree. That being said, here's to a happy new year, old friends.
Hear, hear.
Olmsted, was that one of your prized flamingos that you just hit?
Oh dear, looks like the other waterfowl are flapping their wings.
Heavens to Betsy's billowing Rosses! They're pecking away at one of your rowboats, Olmsted.
It's going to capsize.
Neat.
Have they no respect for property?
You give them a lovely rowboat to make their habitat beautiful, Olmsted, and they thank us by destroying it. And for what? Killing one of their own?
Where's their sense of community? Their neighborhood pride? I must wonder, though, if a steamboat could have withstood such aviary assault. What say you, Olmsted?
Meh.
Meh? You stonewalled every attempt to include steamboats in this park, and then, when your own rowboat sank because you killed a flamingo with a champagne cork, you say meh?
Indeed. In very deed. But that flamingo never... Wait a second. That flamingo never had a leg to stand on. Well, what do you expect? He'd been using it as a crutch. We're never going to learn a damn thing ever again, will we?
No.
Nope.
Thank you once more for listening to No Holmes Barred. This is an independent passion project, so please remember to subscribe and leave us a positive review if you're so inclined. The series is over, but we are not. For future bonus content and information on No Holmes Barred events, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Holmes Barred. Visit noholmesbarred.com to sign up for our newsletter, Your Murder Castle Mailbag. No Holmes Barred was written and directed by Daniel Ciarrocchi. Recorded, mixed, and mastered by Evan Kornblum. Episode 9 of No Holmes Barred features Daniel Ciarrocchi as H.H. Holmes, Sam Sessa as Daniel Burnham, Dave Heilker as Olmsted, Robby Priego as the Newsboy and Detective Gary, Jacob DeNobel as Atwood and Father Bailey, Steve Bortz as Father McCabe, Willy Landon as Detective Geyer, Allison Robicelli as Alice Pitezel, Megan Perkins as Nellie Pitezel, Matthew Richardson as Richardson and the Coroner, Jenny Kessler as Adelaide Hollingsworth, and Tom Colegrove is your narrator. Don't stay tuned for episode 10 because there isn't one. But do stay tuned for announcements, events, and bonus content. We are so grateful for your time, which truly was of the essence. Maybe the real murder castle is all the friends you made along the way and then murdered.